Chapter 2. Telling Jam. I stared at the little girl on the screen, searching her face for signs that she might be me. "Lauren, Jam's here!" Mum's shout made me jump. My heart raced as Jam's footsteps pounded up the stairs. I reached forward and minimised the screen. I ran to the door, just as Jam got there. "Hi, Lorenzo." Jam smiled. His dark hair was gelled back off his face and he smelled of soap. "Finished your homework?" "Yeah. No, actually, I was hardly listening. I need something from downstairs." Jam frowned, but followed me down to the living room. Mum was sitting on the sofa watching the news on TV. "Mum, where are our photo albums?" She stared at me. "End of the cupboard." She pointed to a pair of wooden doors in the corner of the room. "Why the sudden interest?" I raced over and started pulling out albums, flicking through the pages. "Where are the oldest ones of me?" I said. Silence. I glanced up. Mum and Jam were both looking at me as if I was mad. "What's this about, sweetheart?" Mum's voice sounded tense. I put down the album I was holding. "It's for this Who Am I essay," I said slowly. "It's finished, but I thought it would be nice to put in a picture of me when I was younger, alongside one of me now. I'm only hurrying because Jam's here." Mum's face relaxed. "That's a good idea," she said, "though I think I told you to get everything done before he came round. Try the green album at the end." I pulled it out and opened it at the first page. There I was, serious little face, wispy brown bob. I showed Mum. "When was this taken?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Just after we got you," she said. "Christmas time." This was the best I was going to get. "Can I take it?" "Sure," Mum said. "But make sure you bring it back." She smiled. "Those pictures are precious." I stood up. "I'll be back in a minute." I looked from Mum to Jam. He stared back at me suspiciously. "I just want to scan this in." I raced back up to Mum's study and pulled open the missingchildren.com site. I held the photo of me next to the picture on the screen of Martha Lauren Purdett. I think I'd expected this would prove things one way or another. It didn't. Martha Lauren was chubby and dimpled and laughing. In the photo from Mum's album, my face was thinner and I wasn't smiling. And yet there were similarities. The shape of the eyes, the crease under the lips. It could be me. It all almost fitted. I felt like I was on one of those funfair rides that spin you round in so many directions at once that you can't tell which way's up. If that was me, I wasn't who I thought I was. I had a different name, a different nationality, even a different birthday. None of the facts of my life were certain. "What are you doing?" Jam was staring at me from the doorway, a puzzled expression on his face. "Nothing." I quickly minimised the screen. I was being ridiculous. The whole thing was too bizarre. Jam would laugh at me if I told him. Tell me to beam back up to planet Ego Trip or something. And yet I wanted to show him. I wanted to know what he thought. "Don't give me that." Jam narrowed his eyes. "You've been freaking out since I got here. All that crap with the photo albums. You just wanted me out of this room." "No, I didn't, Jam." I tried to smile. "It was just this weird thing." I trailed off. Jam walked over to the computer. "What kind of weird thing?" He grinned. But the grin didn't quite reach his eyes. "Like some weird guy asking you out. What did you say?" "What? No. Ew. No way." What was Jam going on about? He knew I was, totally uninterested in dating and boys and all that stuff. Then why? Jam's eyes focused on the minimised lozenge at the bottom of the screen. "Why are you looking at a missing children site?" "Promise you won't laugh?" He nodded. I clicked on the minimised lozenge. Martha Lauren Purdett appeared on the screen. Jam glanced from her to the photograph of me on the desk beside the computer. He frowned. "What?" His eyes widened. You don't think that's you, do you? I turned away, my cheeks burning. I don't know, I whispered. I looked up. Jam was clicking on a link marked Age Progressed Photograph. Wait! I cried out, but it was too late. A new picture was on the screen, showing Martha Lauren Purdett as she might appear now. I didn't want to look at it, and yet I couldn't stop myself. It was me, but at the same time, it wasn't. The face was too long and the nose too cutesy and turned up looking. Jam said. It's hard to say, isn't it? I mean, it looks a bit like you, but... My heart was beating fast. Okay, he wasn't any more certain than I had been, but at least he wasn't laughing at me. I wasn't sure whether to be relieved or disappointed. Without looking at me, Jam clicked back to the first picture and pressed the print icon. As the printer spewed out the page, Jam held it up to show me. It's like a missing poster, he said. And look, there's a phone number at the bottom here. Maybe you should call up and... No way. I jumped up and tore the paper out of his hand. This was all moving too fast. Jam was being too practical, too logical about everything. I need time to think, I said. Chill out, Lazarbrain. Jam rolled his eyes, like he does when his mum and sisters start screaming at each other. I was only trying to help. Don't you want to find out if that's really you? Maybe, I shrugged. The truth was I didn't know. I didn't know anything anymore. I guess your mum and dad might be able to tell. Jam put his head to one side and studied the picture. I'm not showing them, I gasped. Yeah, it's probably not a good idea anyway. What do you mean? Well, Jam hesitated. If that Martha Lauren girl is you, how do you think it happened? I mean, back then, when you were 3, how did you go from being in America in September to being in London by Christmas? I shook my head. Trust Jam to start asking all the practical questions. I couldn't even get my head around the idea that I might be a completely different person. Think about it, Lazarbrain. Jam smiled weakly. Children don't just vanish for no reason. You must have been taken deliberately. What's that got to do with my mum and dad? I asked. Jam took a deep breath. I think you have to consider the possibility that your parents were somehow involved.